My name's Jayne Boundy and I'm the Southwest Education Officer for England. I've been working in Dogs Trust for just over a year. And previously I worked in a Young Offenders Institute, firstly as a prison officer and then as a teacher. So that's a little bit about my background. Today I really want to show you how dogs can be used to be the best teachers. Okay. So at Dogs Trust, there's over 12 years of teaching experience. Since 1999, we've spoken to over 240,000 children in youth clubs, in schools, and in the community. What better way of teaching young people the fundamentals of empathy, respect, and commitment than using their all-time favourite topic, which is dogs. When it comes to teaching core skills and core values, dog-themed activities and lessons captures the hearts of children more than any other subject. Today I'm going to focus on training as part of youth training as part of our community education programme, whether that's in the community or within secure establishments. This programme is called Taking the Lead. It's a dog-themed education programme for young offenders and youths at risk of offending. Okay. It's a natural extension of the work that we already do in Dogs Trust, but it's aimed at the young offenders or young people at risk. It's youth training rather than dog training, so we're focusing on the youths to become better dog owners in the future. So who is it aimed at? So we aim it at age ranges between 10 and 25 years old. In the UK, secure establishments refer to young people that have committed criminal offences, and the court has decided that they need to be serving this in a prison. And we do house children as young as 10 in prisons. They're called secure units, and that's 10 to 15. The juvenile estate age ranges between 15 and 18. And then there's young offenders institutes, which range from 18 to 21. And then the adult estates, which are 18 and up. We also aim this project for young people on community orders, and community orders are when a young person has committed an offence, a criminal offence, but the court decides that it's actually better for them to serve that sentence within the community, with doing a certain amount of hours for reparation. We also get social services referrals, where sometimes a young person may be at risk of offending, and the social workers decide that some intervention would be a really good idea to help them. Okay, so why young offenders? Well, very often, the young people that take part in taking the lead come from communities where antisocial behaviour surrounding dogs is really widespread. And they're going to go back, when they're released from their secure establishment or from the project, they're going to go back into their communities, and they're going to have influence on their peers. So they talk to each other. So if we can reach one of these young people, they're going to go back and they're going to talk to their friends. They're going to talk to their friends, and it's a domino effect. Some of these young people are at high risk of being engaged in offending conduct surrounding dogs, like using those status dogs, protection dogs, dogs as weapons, or even sometimes dog fighting. So by engaging with the Taking the Lead programme, we strive to enable these young people to understand that these dogs are living, feeling things. We try not to judge these young people and try and give them alternatives for behaviour surrounding dogs. Because often these young people really truly love their dogs, their affection is often misguided. So we just try and guide them, and they just need a little bit of help. So So what's in it for the dogs? Okay, so by influencing the young offenders' attitude towards dogs, any future dogs that they have, they're going to have a much more positive relationship with those dogs, and then those dogs are going to be happier because they'll be cared for. We can address responsible dog ownership messages by improving the youth's understanding of dog care and responsibility of dog ownership. Because often the idea of having a dog for these young people masks the responsibility that they need to undertake. Probably one of the most important things is it increases the youth's empathy and respect of all living beings. So if they can understand that dogs have feelings, like we have feelings, hopefully they will treat them a little bit better. So what's in it for the youths? Okay. Well, the young people that take part in taking the lead are usually extremely disengaged from education. Whether that's because of their own offending behaviour or their poor experience of education prior to being in prison or in the community punishments. So by doing the lessons, taking the lead lessons, they're engaged. Having a dog-themed lesson, you can embed lots and lots of skills within that. Literacy, numeracy, communication. Okay? It improves their behaviour and employability skills. They have to behave. When they're taking part in the project, their behaviour has to be consistent as much as possible. Okay? And then you can say, look, you're behaving in this project, you're behaving really well because they're engaged. Maybe you should just behave on the wing or at home or on the streets. You can behave. So it's giving them that experience of being able to behave in a positive way. This also aids their personal development and self-esteem. So they're completing tasks, they're learning about themselves, they're learning about dogs, they're being part of a group, and they've got their progression. And also it's a well-known fact that engagement in education helps reduce reoffending. And this is one of the key aims that we aim for. Okay, so what do we offer? How do we do it? I just have a sip of water. So we offer flexible programs of workshops or standalone lessons in secure establishments. We offer one-to-one sessions for people on community orders, small group workshops for offenders on orders and youths at risk of offending, a peer mentoring scheme. They can join this peer mentoring scheme once they've completed the Taking the Lead project. So they have to do that program so that they can support their peers when they do the project. And then once they've done the peer mentoring scheme, they then can go on to paid apprenticeships, whether that's dog-related or community-related. And this is all completely free to prisons and councils. So, what's it all about? So, dogs are used to work with the youths to offer a truly interactive, engaging learning experience. We can get our responsible dog ownership messages to discuss the following. So we talk about personal responsibility and self-worth. And when you're talking about responsibility around dogs, you can also talk about their own responsibility towards themselves. So it's like it's on two levels. We talk about consequences. We talk about consequences of overbreeding dogs. We talk about consequences for that dog if it's abandoned. We can then talk about the consequences of their own behaviour that has led them to the position that they're in, and then they can affect some change. We talk about commitment, ties in with responsibility. We talk about respect, and as I said, empathy and compassion. Anger management's always quite a tricky one because a lot of these young people are quite angry. But like a dog, when it shows aggression, it might just be really fearful. So we can talk about issues around that with the young people. So they might be showing aggression, but actually they're scared. So they draw links between their dogs and themselves. So how is it delivered? There's a freedom that comes with the flexibility. You have to be flexible. So we try fun, interactive sessions that are tailored to the needs and the level of the young people. So not every single project that we deliver is the same. We tailor it to the individual needs, the group needs, or the establishment needs. They're short, practical activities. Things like sorting cards, worksheets, quizzes. I'm surprised at how competitive some of these young people are with their quizzes. Okay, so you could divide them into 2 little groups and have little teams, and they get really involved in their quizzes. Okay, little video clips, hands-on tasks. We make dog treats sometimes. We do art projects at the end of the programs. But all these activities offer quick wins, which provides a sense of achievement. Timely feedback and praise is really, really important when you're dealing with these young people, because you can watch the progression. As each session comes on, they get more and more confident because they're completing it and they're getting praised and they're getting feedback, positive feedback. So, what sort of topics do we cover? Well, these are just a few, okay? So we cover dog breeds and jobs. So, for example, an activity that we might do within this is that we have card matching activities. We have pictures of particular breeds, their names and a description, a few traits and bullet points. We can then get them to write sentences, so it's embedding literacy skills. This is also an excellent opportunity to dispel myths surrounding particular breeds of dogs. We can also show them how dogs actually help us, you know, with the guide dogs and dogs that can smell cancer in people. They're really fascinated by all the things that dogs can do. So that's an excellent and really popular topic. We also do body language and communication. This is an excellent opportunity for the young people to examine their own body language and how they're perceived, you know, and how they can read other people. It's also a really good way of giving them very basic lessons in dog body language. We're in no way trying to say that they're going to be experts in dog body language, because it's really, really complex. But the basic signs, it's really important for them to be able to help their dogs when they have them. This is also a really, really good opportunity to use drama in the workshops. You can get them to act out feeling with just using their bodies, and it's actually quite entertaining when you've got these great big hulking young offenders walking around the classroom. Okay, we also use diet and nutrition as another subject we cover. A healthy body is a healthy mind, so it's really, really important that a young person knows what a balanced diet is. And it's also really important that they know what a balanced diet is for a dog, and what's really, really bad for them, like chocolate, grapes, onions, all these things that they're actually really surprised about. And then we can there's a practical task at the end where you can make dog treats, okay? So it's something for them to look forward to. We can either wrap them up and take them to the rehoming centre, or I've taken them home to my dog and she spat them out all over the floor. She didn't really like them. So, cost of a dog. This is an excellent opportunity to embed numeracy skills. I don't like maths. Quite a lot of people don't really like maths, okay? But this is a really fun, interactive way of getting them to increase their numeracy skills. And it's also an excellent opportunity to reinforce the responsible dog ownership messages about what they need to be happy and healthy. Now, this can be set at all different levels, so every single student can be involved and they can complete this task. Okay, dog law. Especially in secure establishments, this is really popular because they are very interested in anything to do with the law, obviously. Okay, so we do lots and lots of different things around this. And whether we agree with certain laws surrounding dogs or not, they are laws, and the young people need to understand the consequences if they're not adhered to. So we look at banned breeds, and that gives us a really good opportunity to use maps. And you're thinking, well, how can you use maps Dog breeds. Well, we look at where they're banned in this country, certain breeds, and then we look where other countries where they're banned, and then we find them on a map. And I'm so surprised that you give them an atlas and they can't find the UK. So it's giving them lots more knowledge about where they are in the world. Another thing we do with dog law is we have debates. Now, it's a really, really, really important skill, I think, that young people, and well, everybody, need to see other people's points of view. And so if you have a debate about dog fighting or puppy farming, they have to take an opposing view to the other team, and then they have a debate. This is brilliant for their communication skills. It makes them really think about the issues surrounding those particular topics. Everyone wins with the taking the lead. They get the most beautiful folder, and they take pride in the work that they complete, and they put it in their folders. And I had this young person say to me, "Oh, my folder's getting really fat." Yeah, it was getting thicker and thicker and thicker with all the work that he was completing, and he was a big smile on his face. At the end of the course, they have a certificate of achievement. Now, this formalizes their learning. They can take this to a college, they can take this to their employer and say, "Look, I've achieved this. This is something that I've achieved." Okay? So it's a really positive thing for them. So you might think, well, is it working? Well, in order to measure the success of taking the lead, there's lots of different ways that we can evaluate it. We use informal tests, folders of work, feedback forms, focus groups, the feedback from institutions and caseworkers. I was in a lesson, one of the sessions going back a few months, and one of their teachers popped in, and he said, "Oh, I've never seen him so engaged," okay? Because he was learning about dogs, and he was writing and just getting on with his work, and he was really enjoying it. We monitor youth's attendance, their participation, and general attitude during the sessions. So after each session, we write a review of how it's gone. So we can measure their improvement. Even if it's a small thing, we've got a note of it. It's very important. Well, just to summarize how, hopefully I've covered these things. It is working. It creates a better understanding of dogs' needs. It helps to dispel myths about status dogs. It helps to reduce reoffending. It re-engages youths in participation in education. It improves compliance with court orders. Because we don't want to set these young people up to fail. We don't want to put them on court orders that they don't attend and then they end up going to prison. We want them to succeed and fulfill their obligations. I'd like to talk a little bit about HMP Her Majesty's Bristol Prison, which is one that I'm heavily involved in because I'm based in Bristol. It's an adult prison, so they're 18 and up, but we have a group of young offenders between 18 and 25. We don't have any more than 8 at a time, and we started off by going in there with standalone lessons, and it's a really good way to get established within the prison. So we were in just for an hour and a half, do a little literacy lesson or a little maths lesson, and then the young people get to see your face and they get to recognize you, and it gives you some credibility. It's now a twice-a-week course. We do two groups. It's a 6-week course, and then one of the projects that we're running is for the very vulnerable young people who have to be separate from the rest of the prison. And they actually don't have a lot of access to education, so that's always quite a full group. But it's a very demanding group, because these sessions can go on for 3.5 hours, so it's quite an intensive group. But actually, the positive, they get so much out of it, because they're not being moved back to the cells. They're there for the whole session, and you can really get your teeth stuck into it. It's really relevant for some of these young people, because they've had dogs before they were in prison, or they're going to get dogs when they get out. So they can draw on their own experiences. Bristol Prison was very welcoming, because their education department is so under-resourced that they welcome any outside agency that will enhance their provision. Okay, another way, we do one-to-one sessions, as I mentioned earlier, and I'd like to talk a little bit about Darren. And he is a young person who was on a community order for drugs and violent offences. He did lots of one-to-one sessions on the Taking the Lead programme with an education officer. The education officer reported that Darren increased his self-esteem by taking part in this course. He also had a dog himself called Fella, who we had to help him, show him better ways how to train him, how to treat this dog, and it was really, really successful. There was an improvement in his communication skills because apparently he was very resistant at first and not so engaged, but he's really good now. He completed the program. He became a peer mentor in the community, and he was really, really successful at that. So now he's about to start his paid apprenticeship, so he's a real success story. A juvenile estate called Cookham Wood provides unique challenges, okay, because these are boys between 15 and 18, and they're in a secure establishment for some serious offences, many serious offences. And sometimes they're the most disengaged young people that we can come across. It started off this programme once a week for 6 weeks, and now it's evolved into a 3-day, 4-week course. It's really, really intensive. Okay? The boys are reporting that they're getting a lot out of it. The feedback's good. But I think probably one of the most important things that we do in Cookham Wood is that we are providing positive role models for these young people. So not only are you examining their behaviour around dogs, you're actually looking at you're listening to them. And there's always 2 education officers in Cookham Wood together just for extra support because it's such an intensive environment. And here you can see some of the artwork that they've done. So it's really good. With the help of a graffiti artist. Okay. So possibly one of the most effective ways to evaluate a programme is to get feedback from the young person. So some of the things that they've been saying, there's been interesting and different things to do on the course. I wasn't really interested in dogs before, but I've learned a lot about dogs and dog culture. The staff were involved and it was a laugh. Well, probably not in mine because my jokes really aren't that funny. My one joke. Yeah. But I would really like to share an experience I had recently with a young person at Bristol. And he turned up on the course and he came to the door and he said, "Oh, what am I doing this for? I don't even like dogs." And I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be a bit tricky." And I said, "Well, come in anyway, And he was like, "Oh, I don't really want to. So I had to bribe him with grapes and all sorts of things. So he came in and I said, "Just try it for one session." And he came in, and I was like, okay, so we're gonna talk about feelings, okay? So we did this activity where I said, forget about dogs, okay? I split them into little groups, and I said, right, you've got 3 minutes to write down as many feelings and emotions as you can, okay? Made it a bit of a competition, and then got them back together, and we wrote them all on the board. And then I said, okay, let's circle the ones that dogs have. And obviously, quite a lot of them were the same, okay? And Lewis is sitting there and he's thinking, okay, I could see him thinking. Then I wanted them to pick 3 of these emotions, okay, and talk about what would make them feel that way. So they had to do that. Then I said to them, pick 3 of these emotions and give me a situation why a dog might feel that way. So they did that. And Lewis, this resistant, and he was huge as well, I was like that, resistant young person, he was just working, and he was really insightful, and he said one of his emotions that he put for dog was confused, and then his reason for that dog being confused was if you hit a dog. And I thought that was really insightful, because you usually think, if you hit a dog, it's going to be frightened, but he was thinking about it a lot more. Okay, so at the end of the session, I said to Lewis, I said, Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy the session? You're going to come back next week? And this is what he said. Yeah, it was cool. I didn't even know dogs had feelings. Now, this resonates with me because I think this is one of the fundamental messages we want to get across to these young people. Okay? This is the basic thing that they need to know, that they have feelings and they need to be treated well. And Lewis is going to get released one day, and he's going to go to his friends who might be mistreating their own dogs, and he's going to say, no, don't kick your dog, don't hit your dog, don't shout at your dog. It's going to hurt their feelings. And at the end of the actual project, Lewis, he's a bit of my pet, really. He did this. So they had to come, they had to do an art project at the end, and I said to them, I want you to come with a statement that has made an impact on you throughout this course. So this is what Lewis came up with, and it took him 4 hours to do this. We had some help with the artist, but this is what he said. So dogs have feelings too, I think is probably a very powerful message for these young people. Okay, thanks for listening.